We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. US President Trump confirms the weapons already heading to Ukraine, but adds a caveat that Kyiv should not target Moscow. Ukraine says details of weapons not shared so far. Trump announces Indonesia deal after tariff threats, sets 19% tariff on Indonesia goods. Indonesia to buy 50 Boeing jets as part of the trade deal. Indian embassy in Iran issues fresh travel advisory amid rising security concerns, urges internationals to avoid non-essential travel to Iran. U.S. fighting weather vagaries on two different fronts. Two killed in New Jersey as flash floods. Heavy rains sweep through northeastern U.S., cause widespread travel chaos. Wildfires continue to wreak havoc in Grand Canyon. Sci-fi office drama Severance leads the race for 77th Emmy Awards with a whopping 27 nominations. Batman villain spin-off series The Penguin grabs 24 slots. The White Lotus and the studio gets 23 nominations each. After a historic T20 International Series win in England, the Women in Blue take on the Three Lions in a three-match ODI series beginning on Wednesday. And on to the details now. U.S. President Donald Trump said that weapons are already being shipped to Ukraine, but he also advised Kyiv that it should not target Moscow. The statement came on Tuesday after the Kremlin charged that a new U.S. plan to supply weapons to Kyiv, along with sanction threats against Russia, would delay peace efforts. While Trump on Monday gave Russia 50 days to strike a peace deal with Ukraine, voicing exasperation with Moscow and announcing that NATO members would supply Kyiv with new military aid. He also added that has not spoken to Russian President Vladimir Putin since sanctions were announced.
NATO is going to pay us back for everything. In some cases, we're going to be paid back by countries of the European Union directly.
Are we starting to see those
But we're always getting our money back in full. So we're not going to have any more investment to make. We're getting our money back in full. And if we can make a deal, that'd be great. We're saving 5,000 or 6,000 soldiers a week. They're Russian and they're Ukrainian soldiers. They're not American soldiers. And we won't have boots on the ground. But it's a shame.
Meanwhile, the European Union did not approve new Russian sanctions. It was announced by EU's foreign chief, Kaja Kallas, on Tuesday after a meeting with EU foreign ministers in Brussels. Slovakia has been blocking the EU's latest sanctions package until its concerns are addressed over a separate EU proposal to phase out imports of Russian gas by January 1st, 2028. The EU foreign ministers welcomed US President Donald Trump's announcement to send more weapons to Ukraine. Kallas said that ministers will discuss Russian frozen assets during an informal meeting at the end of August, as member states have very different views on the issue.
We welcome President Trump's announcement to send more weapons to Ukraine, although we would like to see US to share the burden. America and Europe are working together, and if we are working together, this can put the pressure on Putin to negotiate seriously. The only way to get Putin to end this war is to force his hand.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump said that U.S. would impose a 19% tariff on goods from Indonesia under a new agreement with the Southeast Asian country. Trump said in a post on his Truth Social platform that Indonesian goods entering the United States would face a 19% tariff. This is significantly below the 32% level the president earlier threatened.
So we made a deal with Indonesia. I spoke to their really great president, very popular, very strong, smart. And we made the deal. We have full access to Indonesia, everything. As you know, Indonesia is very strong on copper. But we have full access to everything. We will pay no tariffs. So they are giving us access into Indonesia, which we never had. That's probably the biggest part of the deal. And the other part is they are going to pay 19%, and we are going to pay nothing. I think it's a good deal for both parties. But we will have full access into Indonesia. And we have a couple of those deals that are going to be announced.
Under the deal, which was finalized after Trump spoke with Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto, goods that have been transshipped to avoid higher duties will face steeper levies. It also included a penalty rate for so-called transshipments of goods from China via Indonesia and a commitment to buy some U.S. goods. Trump also said Indonesia committed to buying $15 billion in U.S. energy, $4.5 billion in American agricultural products, and 50 Boeing jets. However, it remains unclear when the lower tariff level announced on Tuesday will take effect for Indonesia. The period over which its various purchases will take place was also not specified. The Indonesian government had yet to make any similar announcements on its end as of Tuesday afternoon. And on trade deal with Vietnam, Trump said that a trade agreement with Vietnam was nearly complete. Remaining in his character, Trump said that he could release details of the Vietnam trade agreement but didn't think it was necessary.
We have a Vietnam deal, and I would say that that deal is being pretty well set. It's pretty well set. Again, that's an opening of their country. They've opened it up. Just so you know, these were closed countries. They were wonderful people, wonderful leaders, very strong, smart leaders.
Well, the Trump administration said it has launched an investigation into Brazil's unfair trading practices. A statement from the U.S. Trade Representative said it will include the Brazilian government's policies related to digital trade and electronic payment services, unfair preferential tariffs, anti-corruption interference. The investigation seeks to determine whether they are unreasonable or discriminatory and burden or restrict U.S. commerce. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump urged Brazilian authorities to end their prosecution of the country's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, accusing them of carrying out a witch hunt. And U.S. President Donald Trump said Tehran was hoping to engage in discussions with the United States, but he's in no rush to talk with Iran, referring to U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites last month.
Well, they want to talk. I'm in no rush to talk. They would like to talk. I'm in no rush to talk because we obliterated their site. They'd have to start all over. In fact, it's obliterated to the point that it's not usable anymore. They'd have to pick a different mountain.
Well, Washington and Tehran had been engaged in several rounds of negotiations seeking to strike a deal on Iran's nuclear program. However, the talks derailed due to the 12-day-long conflict between Israel and Iran. Since the end of the hostilities, both Iran and the U.S. have signaled a willingness to return to the table, although Tehran has said it will not renounce its right to the peaceful use of nuclear power. And amid escalating regional tensions and military actions in Iran, the Indian embassy in Iran urged Indian nationals to avoid non-essential travel to the country, citing recent security-related developments. The advisory posted late evening on the embassy's official handle on X also asked those already in Iran to remain vigilant and consider returning using available commercial and ferry services. And Israel carried out strikes against Syrian government forces in southwestern Syria for a second day on Tuesday, vowing to protect the Druze minority. Syria's foreign ministry said in a statement on Tuesday that Israel holds full responsibility for the latest attacks on southern Syria and the consequences. The ministry said it is keen to protect all Syrian citizens without exception, including the Druze minority. During a visit to the military base in the West Bank's Jordan Valley on Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israeli attacks on Syria were aimed at maintaining the southwestern region of Syria as a demilitarized zone and to protect the Druze residents.
We are also operating in Syria. We have an obligation to maintain the southwestern region of Syria as a demilitarized zone bordering Israel. We will not allow a return to a situation where a second Lebanon is being established there. And we are also obligated to protect the Druze residents. We are doing this through intense operations.
Well, the White House was briefly placed under lockdown on Tuesday after a phone was thrown over the security fence. The incident occurred at approximately midday when Secret Service agents responded to reports of an object being hurled over the North Lawn fence. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed to reporters that somebody threw their phone over the fence, prompting immediate security measures. The Secret Service implemented a full lockdown of the White House grounds and temporarily closed Pennsylvania Avenue to traffic. The incident represents the latest security challenge facing the Secret Service, which has experienced several breaches in recent months. And Cuban Minister for Labor and Social Security, Marta Elena Feto Cabrera, has been forced to resign from her post after she made comments in a parliamentary session which denied the existence of beggars on the North American island nation. The minister had said there was no such thing as beggars in Cuba and people going through rubbish were, in a sense, doing so out of choice to make easy money, as she put it. Her comments were widely criticized by Cubans at home and abroad and prompted a response from the island's president, Miguel Diaz-Canel. The president criticized the minister without mentioning her by name, saying the leadership could not act with condescension or be disconnected from the realities of the people. Well, the poverty levels have increased sharply as the Caribbean country reckons with its worst economic crisis in 3 decades, marked by shortages of food, medicine, and fuel, and daily power blackouts. Also, a prosecutor asked Brazil's Supreme Court to find ex-president Jair Bolsonaro guilty of plotting a coup in closing arguments after a trial that saw U.S. President Donald Trump try to intervene on behalf of his right-wing ally. Bolsonaro is accused of seeking to overturn the 2022 election won by his left-wing opponent, current President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. The prosecution told the court that former army officer Bolsonaro and 7 others were guilty of participating in armed criminal association and had sought to violently overthrow the democratic order. After the defense presents its closing arguments, a 5-justice panel will decide the fate of the ex-president. If found guilty, Bolsonaro and his co-defendants could face up to 40 years in prison. And more than 300 electric buses were deployed in the Chilean capital of Santiago and the surrounding areas on Tuesday as part of a government bid to modernize public transport and reduce carbon emission. President Gabriel Boric and Environment Minister Maisa Rogers led the ceremony, marking a major step towards cleaner travel. Rogers called it proof of Chile's efforts to fight climate change and meet its goal of zero carbon emissions by the year 2050. By March 2026, Chile plans to add 1,800 more electric buses. The project is expected to improve daily commutes for over 5.8 million people across the region. And still to come in DD India News Hour. UK secretly relocated Afghans after major Ministry of Defence data breach, super injunction lifted. After publicly rallying against Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell for months, US President Donald Trump suggests Secretary Scott Bessent as a candidate to replace Powell. And US military to remove 2,000 National Guard troops from Los Angeles.
This week on Defence Dynamics, we decode how mounted gun systems are powering India's artillery transformation. A detailed analysis of Astra, India's homegrown air-to-air missile that's now battle-ready. Prahar unveiled India sharpens its tactical edge. And a deep dive into India's military legacy, what makes it one of the world's most formidable defence forces. Stay tuned this Wednesday, 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Quran, and moving on, Britain set up a secret scheme to bring thousands of Afghans to the UK after their personal details were disclosed in one of the country's worst ever data breaches. The leak by the Ministry of Defence in early 2022 and the secret relocation program were subject to a so-called super injunction preventing the media reporting what happened, which was lifted on Tuesday by a court. British Defence Minister John Healey apologised for the leak, which included details about members of parliament and senior military officers who supported applications to help Afghan soldiers who worked with the British military and their families relocate to the UK. The incident ranks among the worst security breaches in modern British history because of the cost and risk posed to the lives of thousands of Afghans. Healey said about 4,500 Afghans and their family members have been relocated or were on their way to Britain under the previously secret scheme. But he added that no one else from Afghanistan would be offered asylum because of the data leak. And US President Donald Trump said that the US Justice Department should release all credible information from its probe into notorious sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein as he sought to douse a firestorm of criticism from his supporters over his handling of the case. Well, Trump is facing the most serious split of his political career from his famously loyal right-wing base over suspicions that his administration is covering up lurid details of Epstein's crimes to protect rich and powerful figures they say are implicated. When asked about the case at the White House, Trump said that the Attorney General has handled that very well. He replied that Pam Bondi, who leads the Justice Department, handled it very well and it's going to be up to her. Trump said that whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. And Jeffrey Epstein was wealthy American financier and a notorious sex offender who was first charged with sex offences in 2006 after the parents of a 14-year-old girl told police that he had molested their daughter at his Florida home. Due to a controversial plea deal with prosecutors that saw him jailed for just under 13 months, in July 2019, he was arrested again in New York and charged with trafficking dozens of teenage girls and engaging in sex acts with them in exchange for money. Epstein pleaded not guilty to the charges against him on August 10, 2019, while in custody awaiting trial. Authorities said he was found dead in his prison cell after hanging himself. Skeptics allege suspicious circumstances in Epstein's death. Security cameras around his cell malfunctioned on the night he died. Many allege that Epstein's files are concealed to protect rich and powerful elites. Britain's Prince Andrew and former US President Bill Clinton also linked but deny wrongdoing. Trump administration denies the existence of any Epstein client list. Trump promised to release files related to the case while rerunning for president. But since taking office, Trump has failed to deliver so. Former advisor Elon Musk claimed in June in a now-deleted X post that Trump was in the Epstein files. Trump has been towing a delicate line, saying he supports the release of any credible files related to Epstein while dismissing the case as pretty boring stuff. Republican Mike Johnson has not followed Trump's line on the issue and has instead urged the Justice Department to make public any documents linked to Epstein. Meanwhile, Democrats have seized on the rift between Trump and his party by demanding his administration publish the full evidence held by prosecutors in their case against Epstein. And US President Donald Trump said that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent could be a candidate to replace Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, but suggested it might not happen. Trump has rallied against Powell for months for not lowering U.S. interest rates and has repeatedly urged him to resign. On Tuesday, Trump said cost overruns on a $2.5 billion renovation of the Fed's historic Washington headquarters could amount to a firing offense. Well, Bessent, who has also played a key role in Trump's trade negotiations with a host of countries, told Bloomberg Surveillance on Tuesday that a formal process was already starting to identify a potential successor to Powell. Well, Trump administration officials argue that a tax bill nearing passage in Congress will boost private sector investment and strengthen the U.S. economy, and insist that while tariff increases could result in a one-time bump in prices, they should not drive up inflation over the longer term. And U.S. President has announced $92 billion in energy and infrastructure deals intended to meet a low big tech soaring demand for electricity to fuel the AI boom. Trump made the announcement at the inaugural Pennsylvania Energy and Innovation Summit at Carnegie Mellon University, with much of the talk about beating China in the global AI race on Tuesday. Officials expect that by 2028, tech companies will need as much as 5 gigawatts of power for AI, enough electricity to power roughly 5 million homes. The funding will cover new data centers, power generation, grid infrastructure, AI training, and apprenticeship programs. The U.S. president launched the Stargate project in January, aimed at investing up to $5,000 billion in U.S. AI infrastructure, primarily in response to growing competition with China. Trump has also reversed many policies adopted by the previous Biden administration that imposed checks on developing powerful AI algorithms and a limit on exports of advanced technology to certain allied countries.
America's destiny is to dominate every industry and be the first in every technology. And that includes being the world's #1 superpower in artificial intelligence. And we are way ahead of China. I have to say, we're way ahead of China, and the plants are starting up, the construction's starting up.
While U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered the withdrawal of 2,000 National Guard troops from Los Angeles, roughly halving the contentious deployment in the city. President Donald Trump had ordered thousands of National Guard and hundreds of Marines into Los Angeles last month in response to protest over federal immigration sweeps. As a so-called sanctuary city with hundreds of thousands of undocumented people, Los Angeles has been in the crosshairs of the Trump administration since the Republican returned to office in January. It was the first time since 1965 that a U.S. president deployed the National Guard against the wishes of a state governor. California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom has said the troops were not necessary to address the mostly peaceful protest. And now, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass called the partial withdrawal of federal troops from the city as an important victory. Despite legal challenges, a U.S. appeals court let Trump retain control of California's National Guard. The Pentagon has defended the deployment, saying safeguarding ICE agents ensures they can do their jobs. About 2,000 Guard members and 700 Marines remain under federal control. Bass argued that the presence was never needed and said Los Angeles had been used as a political test case. She also condemned the aggressive nature of the raids and called for a full withdrawal of the remaining troops and Marines.
I am here to say that we've had an important victory. I think because Los Angeles stood strong, because we understood what it meant that the federal government came in and seized power away from our governor regarding the deployment of the National Guard and inappropriately sent the National Guard here when they were not needed, the administration has finally understood that they need to withdraw the troops.
Well, the U.S. Homeland Security Department said that a deportation flight carrying immigrants from different countries has landed in Eswatini. In a thread on social media platform X, McLaughlin named 5 deportees from Vietnam, Jamaica, Laos, Cuba and Yemen and said they were convicted of crimes ranging from child rape to murder. This move follows the U.S. Supreme Court lifting limits on deporting migrants to third countries. The new ICE policy suggested the Trump administration could move quickly to send migrants to countries around the world. And Special Forces personnel from Panama and the United States are holding military training exercises aimed at defending the Indo-Oceanic Canal and other strategic infrastructure in the Central American nation. The drills involve air, land and maritime operations as part of the first phase of the annual Panamax Alpha 2025 exercise. The training brings together special agents from Panama's police forces alongside troops from the U.S. Southern Command's Joint Task Force Bravo. The initial phase focuses on training and preparing Panamanian agents for phase 2 of the Panamax exercise, which will involve actual execution of operations scheduled for September. The current exercises follow similar U.S. military drills conducted in Panama last month to protect the inter-oceanic waterway, part of a bilateral agreement signed in April between the two countries. And it's day 5 of the violent protest in the Spanish town of Torre Pacheco, where tensions erupted after a local man was attacked allegedly by 3 young Moroccan migrants. The incident led to several nights of violent clashes between far-right groups and North African residents. Amid fears of rising xenophobia, authorities deployed over 120 officers to keep order during protest. 14 people have been detained and the main suspect in the assault was arrested in northern Spain. The unrest in among the worst Spain has seen in recent years tied to illegal migration scheme. And a volcano erupted in southwest Iceland on a Wednesday, marking the latest in a series of outbreaks near the capital in recent years. Often referred to as a land of ice and fire, the North Atlantic island nation, with its many glaciers and volcanoes, has now seen a dozen eruptions since geological systems on its Reykjanes Peninsula reactivated in 2021. The outbreaks, known as fissure eruptions, are characterized by lava flows emerging from long cracks in the Earth's crust rather than from a central crater. The Reykjanes eruption have not so far posed a threat to the capital Reykjavik, nor have they caused significant dispersals of ash into the stratosphere, avoiding air traffic disruption. And no longer confined to sci-fi concepts or blockbuster movies, aerial rides may soon become a reality. Flying taxis are coming to Britain sooner than we thought. A UK-based firm plans to roll out a piloted flying taxi by 2028. The aircraft, named VX4, will run on electricity and is expected to operate at a price point similar to popular taxi services. Its parent company, Vertical Aerospace, based in Bristol, is leading the production. Chief test pilot Simon Davies praised the strong demand and impressive capabilities of the aircraft. And moving on, nomination list for the 2025 Emmy Awards airing on September 14th has been announced. Severance dominates the 77th Emmy Awards nominations with a record-breaking 27 nods, leading a lineup packed with genre giants. HBO's The Penguin, featuring Batman's notorious villain, snags 24 slots, while the studio follow with 23 each. Streaming platforms rule the charts as innovation and bold storytelling take center stage. From satire to sci-fi, this year's Emmys promise a thrilling celebration of television's evolving landscape. And still to come, a DD India News Hour. India's External Affairs Minister urges uncompromising stand against terrorism at SCO meet, cites Pahalgam attack. Indian government expresses sharp denunciation on demolition of a house in Bangladesh linked to 3 generations of Bengal's most respected authors. And vibrant Rath Yatra to commemorate Lord Jagannath's journey brings colour, kirtan and culture to the streets of Amsterdam.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you. With majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we decode how mounted gun systems are powering India's artillery transformation. A detailed analysis of Astra, India's homegrown air-to-air missile that's now battle-ready. Prahar unveiled India sharpens its tactical edge. And a deep dive into India's military legacy, what makes it one of the world's most formidable defense forces. Stay tuned this Wednesday, 8 p.m. IST, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. US President Trump confirms the weapons already heading to Ukraine, but adds a caveat that Kyiv should not target Moscow. Ukraine says details of weapons not shared so far. Trump announces Indonesia deal after tariff threats, sets 19% tariff on Indonesian goods. Indonesia to buy 50 Boeing jets as part of the trade deal. Indian Embassy in Iran issues fresh travel advisory amid rising security concerns, urges Indian nationals to avoid non-essential travel to Iran. U.S. fighting weather vagaries on two different fronts. 2 killed in New Jersey as flash floods. Heavy rains sweep through northeastern U.S. cause widespread travel chaos. Wildfires continue to wreak havoc in Grand Canyon. Sci-fi office drama Severance leads to the race for 77th Emmy Awards with a whopping 27 nominations. Batman villain spin-off series The Penguin grabs 24 slots, The White House and the studio gets 23 nominations. And after a historic T20 International Series win in England, the Women in Blue take on the Three Lions in the 3-match ODI series beginning on Wednesday. Well, moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, along with foreign ministers from SCO member countries, attended the SCO Council of Foreign Ministers meeting in Tianjin on Tuesday. Addressing the gathering, Dr. Jaishankar stressed that the three events, terrorism, separatism and extremism, must be tackled with an uncompromising stance. Talking about the recent terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, Pahalgam, Dr. Jaishankar said it was deliberately conducted to undermine the tourism economy of North Indian South Union Territory of J&K while sowing a religious divide. Recalling the strong condemnation of the April 22nd attack by the UN Security Council, the minister emphasized the need to hold perpetrators, organizers, financiers and sponsors of this reprehensible act of terrorism accountable. He also stressed that India would continue to work to bring the perpetrators of J&K attack to justice. And going ahead with its neighborhood first policy, a 24-member delegation of young political leaders from 14 political countries of Sri Lanka called on Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri as they began their 2-week-long program in India. Foreign Secretary emphasized their valuable role in deepening the Indian-Sri Lanka partnership as stakeholders in its future roadmap. And Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Mohan Yadav wrapped up his 3-day official visit to the United Arab Emirates on Tuesday, delivering a compelling investment pitch that's already generating significant interest from global investors. Chief Minister's packed Dubai schedule included high-level meetings with UAE government officials, business leaders and Indian diaspora members, all focused on positioning. Madhya Pradesh as India's next major investment destination is being positioned. After completing his 3-day Dubai tour, Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Mohan Yadav left for Spain. During his Spain visit, he will address the Invest in Madhya Pradesh Forum in Madrid and participate in high-level meetings related with industries, tourism, sports, culture and filmmaking. And a house in Bangladesh linked to 3 generations of Bengal's most respected literary and cultural figures is being demolished, drawing sharp concern from the Indian government. The Indian government stepped in and volunteered to help in repair and reconstruction of the property of Satyajit Ray. In a statement, the Ministry of External Affairs reminded the interim government of the iconic status of the Rays in the shared cultural history of the subcontinent. The Ministry of External Affairs expressed regret over the demolition, noting that the house is a landmark tied closely to the Bangla cultural renaissance. It said the building could instead be restored and converted into a literature museum celebrating shared heritage. The ministry also said that the Government of India would be ready to offer support if such a plan is considered. The property, presently owned by the Government of Bangladesh, is in a state of disrepair. And India has strongly reiterated its commitment to ensuring justice for crimes committed against UN peacekeepers, calling accountability a strategic necessity for the success of global peacekeeping missions. Speaking at a high-level UN meeting of the Group of Friends for Promoting Accountability, India's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador P. Harish, said peacekeepers face serious threats while serving in dangerous areas, yet most crimes against them go unpunished. He stressed that this lack of accountability undermines international peace efforts. India, the largest contributor of troops to UN missions, has sent over 300,000 peacekeepers in the past 70 years, with 182 losing their lives. And in Uttarakhand, 8 people were killed and 5 injured when a jeep fell into a deep gorge in Pithoragarh on Tuesday. Expressing grief over the incident, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced 2 lakh rupees ex gratia for the deceased and 50,000 rupees for injured individuals. In a post on the social media platform X, the Prime Minister's office stated, and I quote, "Saddened by the loss of lives due to a road accident in Pithoragarh, Uttarakhand. Condolences to those who have lost their loved ones in the mishap. May the injured recover soon." An ex gratia of rupees 2 lakh from PMNRF would be given to the next of kin of each deceased. The injured would be given 50,000 rupees, unquote. And the Unique Identification Authority of India, UIDAI, has urged parents and guardians to complete a mandatory biometric update of children aged 7 and above. UIDAI, in a statement, has emphasized the importance of completing the mandatory biometric update for children who have reached the age of 7 but have not yet updated their biometrics in Aadhaar. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology said that under the current guidelines, a child below 5 years of age does not have to provide fingerprints or iris scans due to developmental reasons. It added that once the child turns 5, these biometrics must be updated, and the process is free of charge if completed between the ages of 5 and 7. If the mandatory biometric update is not completed even after 7 years of age, the Aadhaar number may be deactivated as per the existing rules. UIDAI has also started sending SMS messages to the mobile numbers registered in the Aadhaar of such children for completing the mandatory biometric update exercise. And the man who allegedly rammed his car into 114-year-old marathon runner Fauja Singh on the Jalandhar-Pathankot highway has been arrested. Amritpal Singh Dillon, a 30-year-old NRI, was arrested 2 days after Singh, popularly known as Turbaned Tornado, suffered head injuries in a hit-and-run accident while he was crossing the road at his native village near Jalandhar in Punjab. Singh was taken to the hospital where he later died. Dillon, who came to India a week ago, was then caught in his village. Fauja Singh became the oldest man to run a full marathon in 2011 at the age of 100 in Toronto. A torchbearer for the 2004 Athens Games and the 2012 London Olympics, Fauja Singh ran his last competitive race in 2013 at the age of 101, finishing the Hong Kong Marathon's 10-kilometer race in 1 hour 32 minutes 28 seconds. And moving on, Delhi schools recently again received bomb threats via email, prompting immediate responses from the Delhi Police and Fire Department. Schools including St. Thomas School and Vasant Valley School received bomb threats, and personnel from the Delhi Police and Fire Department were dispatched to the premises. Nothing suspicious has been found so far. Earlier, St. Stephen's College at Delhi University also received a bomb threat. The email claimed that a bomb had been planted in the library. On Monday, 2 schools in Chanakyapuri and the Dwarka area of Delhi also received bomb threats via the Delhi Police's mail. No explosives were found in the combing operation. And as the world becomes more digital, the way money moves is changing. While this brings many benefits, it also creates new risks. Money can be misused to support terrorism, hide illegal earnings, or fund activities that can harm global peace. To protect the world's financial systems, the Financial Action Task Force works with countries around the globe. Well, India has demonstrated a strong and proactive commitment to global security through its active participation in the Financial Action Task Force. In June to July 2025, FATF released 2 key reports. First, complex proliferation financing and sanctions evasion schemes, and second, comprehensive update on terrorist financing risks. These contain the contributions by India, reiterating its commitment to global security. Well, India has also established comprehensive operational and policy coordination mechanisms to detect and prevent proliferation, financing and sanctions evasion. It is recognized by FATF for its substantial effectiveness in this area. When it comes to regional and global cooperation, India actively contributes case studies and intelligence, including insights into state-sponsored terrorism from Pakistan and regional threats like the National Development Complex. Also, in the latest FATF reports, India provided a case study on Pakistan's proliferation-linked entities, insight into terrorist use of online platforms with examples of attacks funded through e-commerce and VPNs, analysis on how gaming and social media platforms are exploited for terrorism financing. An integrated national response through its National Risk Assessment 2022 and strengthened domestic regulations, India has prioritized closing gaps in its financial system, especially in newer domains like crypto assets, digital payments and crowdfunding. In global standards advocacy, India actively supports FATF recommendations for tightening controls on social media, gaming platforms and virtual assets, helping align global standards with emerging threats. And moving on, a video circulating on social media falsely has claimed that External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has admitted loss of 3 Indian Rafale jets to Pakistan. The Press Information Bureau has stated that the claim is from fake accounts and has been digitally manipulated with doctored audio falsely attributing statements to Dr. S. Jaishankar. It further stated that the original video is from an interview with Newsweek, and at no point did the External Affairs Minister mention any such loss of fighter jets to Pakistan. An Indian Council of Agricultural Research is celebrating its 97th Foundation Day on the 16th of July. ICAR was established on this day in 1929 with the objective of conducting research in agriculture, animal husbandry, dairy, fisheries and related technologies. Watch this special report to know about ICAR's special achievements.
Indian Council of Agricultural Research is one of the largest national agricultural research systems in the world, with 113 ICAR institutes and 74 agricultural universities spread across the country. It has played a major role in the Green Revolution and subsequent developments in agriculture in India through its robust research and technological advancements, leading to manifold increase in food grain production, horticultural crops, fish and milk production in the country from 1950-51 to 2024. With technology and research in agriculture, India is the major exporter of rice in the world with production of 149.1 million tons of rice. India ranks first in milk production with 239.30 million tons and ranks second in the world in wheat and fish production. Over 400 improved varieties of seeds have been released in animal husbandry, responsible for conservation of various breeds of cows, has developed better breeds of Catla, Labio, Rohita in fisheries, established a strong network of Kisan Call Center, Kisan Mobile App and Krishi Vigyan Centers. For agriculture and research, ICAR exercises academic control of more than 75 agricultural universities in India. These universities offer degrees in fields like agriculture, horticulture, fisheries and more. ICAR, one of the largest national agricultural research organizations in the world, working in collaboration with international organizations like FAO, CJIAR, IRRI, Philippines, CIMMYT, Mexico. ICAR has collaborative agreements with 40+ countries of the world on agricultural technology, seed production and more. Focus on organic farming, linked farmers and grain markets with PM Kisan, e-Naam, promoting agri-startups, promoting smart farming research techniques using AI. While making India self-sufficient in food grain production, animal husbandry and fisheries, ICAR is not only a nation's pride, but has also become a symbol of India's scientific, agricultural power at the global level. With inputs from Anuj Yadav, DD India.
And vibrant sounds of kirtan and the rhythm of traditional drums echoed through the streets of Amsterdam. The annual Rath Yatra festival, a centuries-old Indian celebration, brought a colourful procession to the heart of the city. Our correspondent Mark Limburg was there to capture how this ancient tradition continues to thrive there.
Today we're in central Amsterdam, one of the most iconic locations in the Netherlands, for an event that brings ancient Indian tradition into the heart of Europe. This is Rath Yatra, also known as the Festival of the Chariots. A spiritual celebration that originates centuries ago in the Indian city of Puri, now held in cities around the world, and now here in Amsterdam. Accompanied by the chanting of sacred mantras and traditional Indian music and dance, the atmosphere is colorful and uplifting, but also deeply meaningful to those who take part.
Lord Krishna came to existence, and that's how we celebrate Lord Jagannath Puri Yatra over there. Yes.
In a city known for its openness and diversity, events like Rath Yatra offer a glimpse into the global reach of Indian spirituality and how timeless traditions find new expressions far from home.
This is all offered to Lord Jagannath, and so it's prasadam, that means mercy. So we give it to the people, so then they have mercy from God Himself. So that is transcendental food, you know, so it's wonderful.
Mark Limburg reporting for DD India in Amsterdam, the Netherlands.
And now on to some weather updates around the globe. Well, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has declared a state of emergency after torrential rainfall and flash flooding wreaked havoc across the state. The National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning statewide as multiple regions, including Union County, faced extreme weather impacts. The intense rainfall caused widespread travel disruption across the region's airports, highways and railways. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy said 2 people died in Plainfield when their vehicle was swept away by flood waters. The ongoing Dragon Bravo fire in northern Arizona is one of 2 fires that have been burning the north rim of the Grand Canyon since July 4th. Also, a wildfire in Tinder Dry Forest on the north rim of the Grand Canyon grew around 50% on Tuesday after it destroyed dozens of buildings, prompting public outrage that it was left to burn for a week before firefighters tried to fully extinguish it. A spokesperson for the incident team said the so-called Dragon Bravo fire swelled to 8,570 acres after burning the historic Grand Canyon Lodge and 70 other structures, including tourist cabins and park staff housing over the weekend. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs has demanded an independent investigation into why National Park Service staff let the fire burn during the driest time of the summer in a botched attempt to reduce wildfire risks and improve forest health. In Colorado, wildfires rapidly grown to engulf nearly 4,000 acres, prompting evacuations across multiple counties on Tuesday. Lightning strikes on July 10th ignited the wildfire on the south rim of the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park, the National Park Service said on its website. The park has been evacuated of visitors and staff and remains closed. Multiple wildfires are also burning across western Colorado, prompting evacuations, road closures, and a statewide disaster declaration. Governor Jared Polis activated emergency response plans on Sunday as crews battled 5 major blazes, all sparked by lightning strikes last week. India has recorded above normal rainfall so far this monsoon season, with the Indian Meteorological Department estimating cumulative precipitation of at 109% of the long period average, indicative of average rainfall as of July 14, 2025. This above normal rainfall is expected to continue, with the IMD forecasting 106% of LPA average rainfall for the remainder of July. The overall healthy rainfall has significantly boosted agricultural activity. According to data from the Ministry of Agriculture, Kharif crop sowing is up by 6.6% year-on-year, led by strong growth in pulses, cereals and rice cultivation. So far, 59.8 million hectares have been sown compared to 56.1 million hectares during the same period last year. And on to business news now. Asian stock markets were under pressure on Wednesday while the dollar climbed to its firmest against the yen since early April after U.S. inflation suggested tariffs are pushing prices up. U.S. Treasury yields ticked to the highest in more than a month, lifting the dollar against the yen in particular. However, tech shares remained resilient following the 4% rally in artificial intelligence Nvidia overnight. Brent crude continued to hover around $69 per barrel. Data on Tuesday showed U.S. consumer prices rose 0.3% in June, in line with forecast, but the largest gain since January. The Fed has been keeping interest rates steady as it has waited for indications of the inflationary impact from tariffs, which Chair Jerome Powell had said he expected in the summers. Australia's and South Korea's equity benchmark each lost around 0.6%. Mainland Chinese blue chips slipped 0.1%. Japan's tech and exporter-heavy Nikkei was flat after alternating between small gains and losses supported by both Nvidia's fortunes and the weak yen. Taiwan's benchmark added 0.5% and Hong Kong's Hang Seng jumped 0.8%. US S&P 500 futures eased at 0.2% after a 0.4% decline for the cash index overnight. Well, you're watching TD India News. Our time now for some sports news. A confident Indian women's team will clash with England in a three-match ODI series beginning on Wednesday. The women in blue made history by winning their first ever T20 international series against England last week. With the ODI World Cup on the horizon, Harmanpreet Kaur-led India will be keen to fine-tune their 50-over game. India won the last two ODI assignments in May. An ODI series win would further boost their preparations for the global showpiece. Meanwhile, England will be bolstered by the return of skipper Natsheva Brunt and world #1 ODI bowler Sophie Ecclestone, who have recovered from injuries. Moreover, King Charles met members of Indian men and women cricket team at the Clarence House in London on Tuesday. King Charles interacted with Indian captain Shubman Gill, vice-captain Rishabh Pant, Jasprit Bumrah and head coach Gautam Gambhir. The King discussed England's thrilling victory over India in the third test at the home of cricket, Lords. England have taken a 2-1 in the 5-match series. The fourth test is set to kick off at Old Trafford on July 23rd.
Our last batsman got out was quite unfortunate. The ball rolling on the stumps, and he was just asking us how did we feel after that, and we told him it was an unfortunate match for us. Could have gone either ways, but hopefully we'll have better luck in the next both the next game.
Well, organisers of the Winter Olympics 2026 have unveiled the medals that will be awarded to athletes during the Games next year. The medals have the traditional Olympic 5-ring symbol on one side with an inscription on the reverse that details the event and commemorates the venue. They were presented at a ceremony in Venice that featured two celebrated retired Italian athletes, swimmer Federica Pellegrini and Francesca Porcelato. Milan and the town of Cortina di Ampezzo are the main host of the Games, which will start from February 6th next year.
Low profile medal, but at the same time it's really elegant, classic, and the idea of these two halves, yes, connected each other with, of course, the symbol of the Games, Olympic and Paralympic.
Well, that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News App.